The offer. No one accepted. The marketplace was full of noise, voices shouting, machines humming, and footsteps echoing across metal floors. Alien traders moved fast, busy with business. They didn't notice the weak figure crawling on the edge of the crowd. She was covered in dust and dirt. Her hair was tangled like dry vines. Her skin, once soft and shining, was now pale and cracked. Her body shook with hunger. Her stomach had not felt food in days. She was an alien woman, young, maybe 20 or 25 in human years. Her bones showed under her skin. She wore rags that barely covered her, hanging off her like old curtains. Her eyes, wide and glowing, with fear, looked around at the busy people. No one met her gaze. She walked with great effort to a tall alien merchant. Her voice cracked as she whispered, "Please, food, I'll do anything." The merchant didn't even turn his head. He pushed her away with his long elbow and said, "Disgusting thing, go beg somewhere else." She fell to the ground. Slowly, she stood again and moved to another person. A soldier this time. She lowered her head, exposing her thin neck. "Take me. Just give me something to eat." The soldier laughed. "You think someone would want that?" He pointed at her like she was garbage. People laughed. Some even threw scraps, but not food, just insults and stones. She tried again and again. 10 times. 20 times. No one cared. No one stopped. Her legs finally gave up. She fell near a garbage bin. Her body curled up, too tired to cry. That's when someone did stop. A pair of boots stepped in front of her. She slowly lifted her head. It was a man, tall, strong, human. His uniform was old, dirty, torn in places. He had scars on his face and arms. His eyes were sharp like a soldier's, but they didn't look at her with disgust. He knelt beside her and opened a small bag. From it, he pulled out a food bar, wrapped in simple gray plastic, and a bottle of clean water. She looked at him, confused. He didn't say anything. He just handed her the food. Her hands trembled as she took it. "What do you want in return?" The man shook his head. "Eat." She opened the bar and bit it, fast at first like an animal. Then she slowed down. Tears rolled down her cheeks. She had forgotten the taste of real food. The man sat beside her, silent. People around them stared. A few muttered insults. Why is a human helping that thing? Probably crazy. She's just trash. The man didn't react. He watched her eat every bite, then gave her the bottle. She drank half and looked at him again. "You're not like the others," she said softly. "No," he replied. She tried to sit up straighter. "I offered myself for food. No one cared. You didn't even ask my name." He raised an eyebrow. "Do you want to tell me?" She hesitated, then nodded. "My name is Elari." He nodded slowly. "I'm Dane." She looked down. "Why help me?" "I'm nothing." "You're not nothing," he said firmly. "You're alive. That's enough." Elari blinked. No one had spoken to her like that in months. She didn't even remember the last time someone used her name kindly. She looked at his hands, rough and scarred, like he had fought many battles. "Are you a soldier?" "I used to be," he said. "Why are you here now?" "I was passing through, looking for supplies." He glanced around. Didn't expect to find someone abandoned in the open. She tried to stand, but her legs were still weak. Dane caught her before she fell. "Easy," he said. "I can't walk far," she whispered. "My body's too tired." Dane looked around. "Then we'll rest. But not here." He pointed to a quiet corner behind an old transport truck. "Come." He gently lifted her, careful not to hurt her. She was lighter than she should have been, like her body was made of bones and air. As he carried her, more people whispered, some even cursed at him. But he didn't care. He kept walking, calm and focused. Behind the truck in the shade, he set her down and handed her his jacket. She hugged it close, tears still in her eyes. "Why are you doing this?" she asked again. He looked at her for a long time. Then he said, "Because I've seen this before, and no one helped. This time I will." Ailari didn't understand everything he meant, but she felt safe for the first time in a long while, and for Dane, something inside him had awakened. He didn't know who she really was or what pain she carried, but he knew one thing. He couldn't walk away. Not this time. He gave her bread, not chains. Ailari sat on the cold ground, wrapped in Dane's jacket. It smelled like old fire, dry blood, and something else, warmth. For someone who had lived among cruelty for so long, even that smell felt like safety. Dane sat across from her, leaning against a rusted crate. His eyes scanned the area, watching for threats, but his body was relaxed, a soldier's habit. Quiet and alert. Ailari kept looking at him, unsure if he was real. "You really don't want anything from me?" she asked again. He didn't answer with words. He just reached into his pack and pulled out another food bar. He tore it in half and gave her the bigger piece. She took it slowly this time, hands less shaky. "You're strange." "I've been called worse," he said, chewing. A breeze passed through the narrow alley, lifting dust and bits of paper. Ailari coughed. Her body was still weak, her voice soft, but her eyes were clearing. She was slowly returning from the edge of death. Dane leaned forward. "How long were you starving?" She looked down. "Days, maybe a week. I don't remember. I ran from the mines, got caught once. They beat me, escaped again. Then this." Dane's jaw clenched. "They used you?" "Yes." Her voice cracked. "I tried to trade my body for food, because I had nothing else. But no one even looked at me like a person, just trash." "You're not trash," Dane said. Her eyes watered again. "Then what am I?" "You're a survivor." She didn't reply. No one had ever called her that before. A loud shout echoed from the main market street nearby. Dane quickly stood and peeked around the corner. Just drunk traders yelling about credits. Nothing serious. But Dane's hand stayed on the sidearm at his belt. "You're scared," Ailari said, watching him. He shook his head. "Not scared. Careful. You're not safe yet." Ailari looked down at her arms. "I'm never safe. People like me, we're never safe." Dane sat back down. "That's going to change." "Why?" she asked. "Why do you care so much? I'm not even human." He looked her in the eye. "Pain is pain. Doesn't matter what species you are." A moment passed between them, silent but heavy. Then Ailari asked, "Did you lose someone?" Dane looked away. For a long time he said nothing. Then finally, "Yes, a girl. Not so different from you. She asked for help. I was too slow." Ailari didn't push for more. The sky above the metal roofs began to dim. Purple clouds gathered as the artificial lights flickered on. Market stalls started closing for the night. Dane stood again. "We can't stay here," he said. "Too open. Too many eyes." Ailari nodded. "Where will we go?" "There's an old warehouse," he said. "Half burned, no one lives there anymore, but it's dry, quiet." He held out his hand. She stared at it. Her fingers were thin, cut and bruised. But she placed her hand in his. He pulled her to her feet carefully. She winced in pain. Her legs still hurt, but she walked, slowly, beside him. As they moved through back alleys, shadows followed them. Not people, memories. Her past, his regrets. She asked, "Are you running from something?" He said, "No, I'm walking toward something." That confused her, but she didn't ask more. They reached the warehouse, a broken place with half the roof gone. Inside were old boxes, tools, and silence. Dane cleared a space and laid down his jacket again for her. She sat, exhausted. He built a small heat lamp and set it near her feet. As warmth spread through the room, she whispered, "You could have left me." "I could have," he said, "but I didn't." "Why?" He looked at her, and this time his voice was firm. "Because someone needed to do the right thing, even if no one else would." She closed her eyes, and for the first time in what felt like years, she slept without fear. The wounds under her skin. Ilari woke to the soft sound of metal creaking in the wind. The burned-out warehouse was dark, except for a small heat lamp near her feet. The warmth helped, but her body still ached. She sat up slowly. The human's jacket was still around her shoulders. It smelled of fire, oil, and something like safety. Dane was already awake, sitting nearby with a small tool in his hand, fixing something. His eyes moved to her as soon as she shifted. "You slept," he said. She nodded. "I haven't done that in I don't know how long." "You needed it," he replied simply. She looked down at her hands, thin, scarred, shaking. "I feel strange." "That's what peace feels like," he said. She looked at him. "I'm not used to it." Dane stood and walked over. He handed her a small packet of dried fruit. "Try this. It's not much, but better than nothing." She opened it carefully, chewing slowly. The sweetness surprised her. "Thank you," she whispered. Dane sat across from her again. He watched her eat with calm eyes, but inside his mind, he was thinking. He had seen many aliens in pain before. Slaves, soldiers, prisoners. But something about Ilari was different. Maybe it was the way she still tried to keep her voice soft, or maybe the way she never asked for pity. After a while, she spoke again. "You've seen people like me before?" He nodded. "Yes. On Norris 9. The slavers there were worse. They didn't just break bones. They broke minds." She lowered her eyes. "That's what they tried to do to me." Dane didn't speak. After a pause, she reached up and moved her torn shirt to the side just a little, enough to show her shoulder and part of her back. Dane's expression changed. Her skin was lined with scars. Some were old and faded. Others were new, still red and angry. Long, thin lashes from a whip. Burn marks. Symbols cut into flesh. She covered herself quickly. "Sorry." He didn't blink. "Don't apologize. You didn't do that to yourself." "I was sold when I was small," she said. "From one master to another. Some used me to clean. Others used me for worse things." Her voice shook. "I ran when one of them got drunk and passed out. I stole a keycard. I thought I could find a place to hide, but every station I reached, they all looked at me the same, like a thing." "You're not a thing," Dane said again. She wiped her eyes. "You keep saying that. Why do you believe it?" "Because I've seen monsters. You're not one of them." Ilari looked at him long and hard. "Then why do you hide? Your uniform, it's old. And your scars, they're not from market life." Dane didn't answer right away. He stood and walked to the far side of the warehouse. He opened a metal crate and took out a folded cloth. Inside it was a small badge. He tossed it to her gently. She caught it and looked at it. It had a broken sword across a planet's flag. Human military. "You were a commander?" "Once," he said. "What happened?" "I disobeyed orders," he said flatly. "I tried to save a group of alien workers from being sent into a death mine. The command said it was a lost cause. I tried anyway. Only 2 survived. I was punished, discharged. They called it treason." She held the badge tighter. "So you ran?" "I didn't run," he said. "I walked away. I couldn't fight for people who believed some lives mattered less." Ilari stared at him. "That's why you helped me." "I couldn't save them back then," he said. "But I can save you now." She stood slowly, walked over and handed the badge back. "Then let me fight too." "You're still weak," he said. "But I'm healing. Because of you." Dane looked at her. Truly looked. Not just the dirt, the cuts or the bruises, but the strength still inside her. "We'll need to move soon," he said. "Slavers post rewards. If they know you escaped, they'll come. I'm not afraid, she said. You should be. She stepped forward, her voice quiet but firm. I've already lived through hell. If they come for me, I won't go quietly. I won't go. Dane gave her a small nod. He didn't just see a survivor now. He saw a fighter. The sun, or what passed for sunlight on this polluted trade station, poured through the cracks in the warehouse roof. Dust danced in the light. Ilari stood barefoot. On the metal floor, her legs shaking as she tried to take one more step. Dane stood beside her, silent but alert. Again, he said calmly. Ilari clenched her jaw. Sweat ran down her temple. Her knees trembled. But she lifted her foot and stepped forward. She didn't fall this time. She smiled, just a little. That one didn't hurt as much. Dane gave a small nod. Better. You're learning to trust your legs again. It had been 3 days since Dane found her. 3 days of rest, food, and water. 3 days without pain or chains. Now she was trying to walk again. Not just physically, but mentally too. Each step was a fight against the past. I don't want to be weak anymore, she said, breathing hard. You're not weak, Dane said. You're just untrained. There's a difference. She looked up at him, unsure. What are you training me for? To survive. To defend yourself. And if needed. He paused. To fight. Ilari's face changed. You think they'll come for me? I know they will. She swallowed hard. Then teach me everything. Dane didn't smile, but his eyes softened. All right. That afternoon, they started with movement drills. Not punches, not kicks, just balance. Keep your feet under your shoulders, Dane said, circling her like a watchful hawk. Hands up, loose, like this. He showed her how to stand. She copied him. He gently corrected her foot position. If you can't stand strong, you can't fight strong. Ilari practiced for hours. Her body ached, but it was a different kind of pain. Honest, clean pain. Not from whips or cold hunger, but from trying. Dane taught her how to fall safely, how to roll, how to push off the ground and stand fast. Each time she stumbled, he was there, never scolding, never shouting, just saying, try again. By nightfall, she could stay on her feet longer. Her face was flushed, her arms sore, but her eyes were brighter. The next day, Dane gave her a wooden stick the size of a short sword. What's this? She asked. Your voice, he said. When words fail, this speaks for you. She gripped it tightly. I've never held a weapon. You will now. He showed her how to swing, not with rage, but with purpose. Control, he said. Always control. Ilari swung again and again. Her arms burned. Her palms blistered, but she didn't stop. Each swing pushed her pain away, bit by bit. That night, after training, they sat near the heat lamp again. Ilari ate dried root pieces, chewing slowly. She looked at Dane. Why are you doing this? You already saved me. I'm not here to save you, he said. I'm here to help you save yourself. She fell quiet. Outside, the wind howled. Inside, something in her heart began to shift. She wasn't just a lost girl anymore. She was becoming something more. The next morning, as Dane gathered supplies from his bag, Ilari noticed something on his arm. A small tattoo, half covered by his sleeve. Ilari tilted her head. That mark, what is it? He hesitated, then rolled up the sleeve. It was a symbol, a broken collar shattered by a hand of fire. Freedom Corps, she whispered. They were legends. We were soldiers, Dane said. Volunteers. We freed slave colonies, one planet at a time, until the council shut us down. Said we were causing unrest. You fought for people like me, Ilari said. I still do. She looked at her hands, still marked with past abuse. Then let me be your last student. You're already more than that, he replied. Later that day, Ilari stood on her own, facing a pile of old scrap bots Dane had set up. Use what you've learned, he said. She gripped the stick, stepped forward, and moved. One hit, then another. Her swings were clumsy, but powerful. She knocked 2 bots over, then 3. The last one took 3 strikes to fall. Ilari dropped the stick, chest rising and falling fast. "I did it," she said, surprised. "You did." She turned to Dane, tears in her eyes, not of sadness, but victory. "I'm not afraid anymore." He nodded. "Good, because they're coming." Outside, in the distant shadows of the trade district, a bounty poster glowed on a cracked digital screen. Wanted, Ilari Vexa, escaped property. Reward, 50,000 credits. Alive. And under it, a blurry photo of Dane, marked as dangerous human combatant, shoot on sight. The hunters were already on their way, but this time, Ilari would not run alone. The bounty on her head, the wind, howled outside the warehouse like a warning. Inside, Ilari stood with her wooden staff resting against her shoulder. Her arms were bruised, her fingers taped from training, but her eyes were no longer afraid. She had learned to breathe through pain, to move with purpose, to survive. Dane sat across from her, checking the power cell on his blaster. He wasn't wearing his jacket anymore. The old scars on his arms were visible now, each one a memory of a fight he didn't walk away from. They hadn't spoken much all morning. The silence meant something had changed. Then Ilari broke the quiet. "You've felt this before, haven't you?" He looked up. "The quiet before danger," she continued. Dane gave a small nod. "It's too quiet in the streets. That means they've seen the bounty." Ilari closed her eyes for a moment. 50,000 credits, and that's enough to make even honest people chase me. "They won't catch you," Dane said. "Not while I'm still breathing." In the lower sectors of the trade station, the news spread fast. A blurry image of Ilari appeared on every corner screen. Her face looked broken and dirty in the photo. Beneath it, the word property flashed in red letters. The price tag below her name turned heads. Mercenaries, street thugs, bounty hunters, and even off-duty security officers began gearing up. They didn't care who she was. They didn't want the truth. They just wanted the credits. Back at the warehouse, Dane finished packing the supplies: food bars, water capsules, 2 stolen stun grenades, and a long-range communicator. He handed Ilari a small knife. "Not for show. Use it if you must, don't freeze." She took it with steady hands. "What's the plan?" "We disappear. There's a transport that leaves from Dock 17 at midnight. No ID checks, no questions. We get on it." "What if they block the docks?" Dane loaded his sidearm. "Then we don't run, we fight." As evening fell, they stepped out into the city shadows. The bright neon signs flickered above them. The crowd moved in waves. Traders, workers, children. But something was different now. People were looking. Not all of them, but enough. Ilari pulled her hood low. Dane walked close behind, scanning every face. His eyes caught a group of 3 mercenaries standing near a fuel vendor, pretending not to look. "But their weapons were charged. They know," he whispered. She didn't ask how many. She just kept walking. At the next corner, 2 bounty hunters stepped in front of them. Ilari stopped. "Evening," said the taller one, a bug-eyed creature with metal teeth. "You look familiar, girl." Dane stepped forward. "Wrong person. Move." The second hunter laughed. 50,000 says she's the right one." Dane's blaster was already up before they could blink. 2 silent shots. Both hunters dropped. The crowd screamed and scattered. Now everyone was looking. "Run!" Dane shouted. They sprinted through the alleys. Shouts echoed behind them. Doors opened. Eyes peeked from corners. More were coming. Ilari's legs burned, but she didn't slow down. Dane guided her through shortcuts, ducking into dark paths between broken buildings. Suddenly, bang! A shot rang past her head. She dropped to the ground, rolled behind a crate. Dane fired back, hitting one hunter square in the chest. 3 more came from the side. Ilari didn't wait. She stood, staff ready, and struck the nearest one in the face. The second one grabbed her arm, but she remembered Dane's training. She twisted, stabbed, low with her knife. The hunter screamed and fell. Dane finished the third with a clean shot. "You okay?" he shouted. "I'm fine," she panted. They ran again. Dock 17 came into view, dirty, loud, filled with workers loading crates. Dane pointed. "That ship, back door, move." But before they could reach it, a tall alien woman in golden armor stepped in front of them. "A bounty captain," she smirked. "You're better than I expected, human. Still won't be enough." Dane raised his weapon. "Try me." She moved fast, firing from both arms. Dane took one hit in the side. He grunted, falling to one knee. "Dane!" Ilari screamed. The captain stepped toward him. Ilari moved before she could think. She charged. With a cry, she swung her staff and hit the captain across the head. The woman staggered. Ilari didn't stop. Again. Crack again. Thud. The captain fell to the floor, bleeding and stunned. Ilari dropped her staff, gasping. Dane looked up at her with wide eyes. "You did that." She helped him to his feet. "You said don't freeze." He gave a dry smile through the pain. "Good student." They limped toward the ship. A dock worker saw them and opened the hatch. "You got 5 seconds." They climbed. In the doors sealed shut behind them, engines roared. They were gone. Ilari sat beside Dane, holding his hand tightly as he bled. "I'll patch you up," she whispered. He nodded weakly. "We're not safe yet, but you're free now." She shook her head. "Not yet, but we're getting there together." Outside the ship's window, the stars began to move. She had escaped the cage. Now she was chasing the sky. The ship moved through silent space, away from the trade station and all its cruelty. Inside, the lights were dim. The engine hummed like a heartbeat. Ilari sat beside Dane, holding a cloth against the wound in his side. He had lost blood, but he stayed conscious. His jaw was tight. His eyes stayed sharp. "You should rest," she whispered. "I will," he replied. "After I tell you something." She looked confused. "What is it?" He winced as he adjusted his position against the wall. "There's a reason I helped you. A deeper one." "I didn't tell you everything." Ilari's fingers froze. "What do you mean?" Dane looked at her, not as a soldier, not as a protector, but as someone carrying a deep weight. "There was someone before you," he said quietly. "Her name was Miri. She was a slave too. Not like you, but similar. I found her during a mission on the planet Kareth 5. Ilari listened, silent. She had a fire inside her. Like you. I helped her escape the camp. We ran together. We made it to the edge of the extraction zone." He paused, his voice tightening. "But I made a mistake. I left her hidden and went to distract the guards. I told her I'd be back in 5 minutes. I came back in 3. Ilari already knew what came next. They had already found her," he whispered. "They killed her in front of me. I shot every one of them, but I was too late." She said nothing. Her heart hurt for him. Dane looked away. "That day I broke, eh? I stopped believing I could save anyone. I quit the Corps, wandered from system to system until I saw you, in that alley, offering yourself for food." His voice trembled for the first time. It felt like Miri's eyes were staring at me again. Ilari gently touched his hand. "You saved me." "Not yet," he said. "But I will." The next morning, Dane's wound was stitched and bandaged. He limped, but stood. The small ship, an old cargo hauler, was slow but steady. The voice pilot, a grumpy alien named Brask, didn't ask questions. He just took payment and flew where told. Ilari watched the stars from a window. For the first time, they weren't just lights. They were possible places. Free places. "Where are we going now?" she asked. "Out of bounty range," Dane replied. "A quiet moon called Valar's Rest. No government, no hunters." She nodded. "What happens after that?" "You heal," he said. "We build a life, if you want." She looked at him. And you? I don't know, he said. Maybe I finally stopped running from the past. Ilari smiled faintly. Or maybe we face it together. Later that day, she found an old storage locker on the ship. Inside, there were tools, cloth, and armor parts. She pulled out a piece of chest armor, human design, damaged but fixable. And in the corner, a dusty datapad. She turned it on, videos, old footage. She clicked one. A younger Dane appeared on the screen, standing in uniform, giving orders. Behind him, a group of rescued alien children. Some smiled, some didn't. This is Commander Dane Voss, he said in the video. We pulled 27 from the camp today, 10 wounded, 3 died on the way back. Ilari stared at the screen. He wasn't just a man with a past. He was a man who had once been a hero. She brought the datapad to him. You were trying to help people long before me, she said. Dane looked at the screen, then away. That man, he made promises he couldn't keep. No, she said firmly. He tried when others stayed silent. That matters. Dane met her eyes. You sound like a soldier. She smiled. Maybe I'm learning. That night, as the ship approached Vaylor's Rest, Dane stood near the airlock checking his gear. Ilari stepped beside him, wearing a simple jacket and holding her staff. Why the staff? He asked. I don't need it, she said. But I want to carry the memory of who I was, and who I'm becoming. He nodded. You're stronger than most soldiers I knew. She tilted her head. Including you? He chuckled. Especially me. The ship touched down. The doors opened to a quiet green world under a calm sky. No alarms, no bounty posters, no watchers. Ilari stepped out first, feeling the ground under her feet. Soft, real. She turned back to Dane. He followed slowly, wounded, but alive. Together they walked into the unknown. No longer slave and savior, but 2 fighters with scars. And a future. Freedom's price. Vaylor's Rest was nothing like the stations and colonies Ilari had known. There were no glowing ads, no patrols, no cameras watching from every wall. Just forests, slow rivers, and wind that carried the scent of real earth. She walked through the open fields with no shoes. The grass tickled her skin. Every breath felt new, like her lungs were learning what peace smelled like. Dane stayed close. His limp was worse some days, but he never complained. He was fixing up an old outpost at the edge of the hills, a place with broken walls, cracked solar panels, and a wide view of the stars. This will be home, he said one morning, placing the last roof panel. Ilari looked around. No cages, no chains, just sky. I never thought I'd live long enough to have one, she whispered. You earned it, Dane said. But peace never stays quiet for long. On the 10th night, they received a signal. Brask, the old pilot who'd dropped them off, sent a warning through a private channel. Someone sold you out. A slaver team just left the station. Fast ship. They're coming to Vaylor's Rest. ETA. One day. Be ready. Dane stared at the screen, jaw tight. Ilari stepped forward. Then we fight. No, Dane said quickly. They'll bring full gear. You're not ready for— I am, she interrupted. You trained me. You told me I was strong. He looked at her. Really looked. She wasn't just a scared girl anymore. She was a warrior. He nodded. All right. Then we fight. Together. They had less than 24 hours to prepare. They booby-trapped the path to the outpost. Simple traps using wire, sharpened wood, and signal mines Dane had salvaged. Ilari took her staff, wrapped the handle in leather, and sharpened the tip. Dane cleaned his blaster. His hands were steady, but his eyes carried the weight of a final stand. That night, as they sat by the fire, Ilari said, If we don't make it, we will, Dane said firmly. But if we don't, she continued, I want you to know. You gave me more than freedom. You gave me a reason to live. He reached across and took her hand. You gave me something too. Forgiveness. A second chance. They sat in silence, fingers locked. At sunrise, the enemy came. A small black ship landed in the clearing. Dust blew across the field. 5 slavers emerged, well-armed, armored, and laughing. "Nice little hole you picked," said the leader, a horned brute with metal-plated arms. "Too bad it's not yours to keep." Dane stepped forward, blaster drawn. "She's not yours anymore." The slaver laughed. "She's property, and you're just a broken human. Step aside." Hilari moved to Dane's side. "She belongs to no one," she said. "And if you want me, you'll have to bleed." The slaver raised his weapon. "Fine, by me." Then, boom! The first trap exploded, sending 2 slavers flying. Dane fired fast. 2 shots, 2 hits. The leader growled. "Kill them." Hilari ran into the trees, baiting one of the hunters. He chased her, laughing, until she spun around and smashed her staff into his knee, dropping him. A swift stab to the shoulder ended him. Another slaver cornered Dane near the outpost. They fought hand to hand, brutal and fast. Dane took a hit to the ribs but slammed the attacker into a wall with a roar. Hilari returned just in time to see the leader charge Dane from behind. "No!" she screamed. She threw her staff, spinning, flying, crack. It hit the slaver in the back of the head. Dane turned and finished the job with a punch. The field fell silent. The fight was over. They had won. Later, they buried the bodies in a trench. No names, no honors, just silence. Dane sat on a rock, breathing hard. Hilari knelt beside him. "You're hurt." He shook his head. "I've had worse." She looked at him. "So this is freedom?" He looked out at the sky. "No, this is the price of freedom. But it's worth paying." Weeks passed. The outpost slowly became a home. Dane built a new training area. Hilari began growing food in the soil. The sky remained clear. Sometimes they trained. Sometimes they laughed. But most days, they simply lived. And in that quiet world, without chains or orders, they built something rare, something most never find, a life of their own.